All right, today we're diving deep into the Saga of Hela, the Norse goddess of death. And let me tell you, her story is way more than just some simple tale of a villain. It's this epic, complicated story of birthright, betrayal, and, well, cosmic destruction that really boils down to one huge question.
And yeah, that's the real heart of it, isn't it? We're going to trace Hela's entire journey to really understand the powerful personal forces that shaped her destiny, turning her from what should have been a divine ruler into a harbinger of total doom. So let's get into it. So, first things first, we've got to get to the bottom of who Hela really is. Because before all the vengeance, before the war, she was a fundamental piece of the Norse cosmos, a goddess with a really profound and necessary job. Okay, so her origins are complicated, to say the least. While a lot of the stories say she's the daughter of Loki, some of the other tales actually place her as Odin's firstborn, which, puts her right at the center of Asgardian power. Her domain is Hel, a realm for souls who didn't die in some glorious battle. And her appearance, well, that's a whole story in itself. You see, her look isn't just to be intimidating. It's a literal symbol of her cosmic role. She physically embodies that razor's edge between life and death, between being and, well, not being. Let's break it down. One half of her is this vibrant, living beauty that's all about the life that comes before death. But the other half is a decaying corpse, this really stark, grim reminder of the end we all face. This duality isn't some curse, it's the perfect physical form for the goddess who rules over death itself. And this whole duality thing is so important because it's right at the center of the tragedy that's about to unfold. We're talking about a massive conflict with the one person who should have been her biggest ally, her own father, Odin. Now, it's kind of wild to think about, but they were once a team, a seriously powerful one. Hela was Odin's right hand, his executioner, his chief enforcer. Her immense power was the key weapon in Asgard's bloody conquest of the Nine Realms. She helped build the very empire she would later try to reclaim. But, things changed. Once the conquering was mostly done, Odin's whole philosophy shifted. He wanted to become a peaceful king. Hela, on the other hand, not so much. Her ambition was still limitless, and Odin started to see a challenger in her, someone whose thirst for conquest would just never, ever end. He basically feared the very weapon that he had created. So, that was the fork in the road. Instead of trying to talk to her, to guide her ambition, or even just find some middle ground, Odin chose fear. He was terrified of a direct confrontation, and that fear led him down a path of just absolute betrayal. And man, his plan was just cold and ruthlessly efficient. He couldn't bring himself to kill her, so he banished her to the very realm she was supposed to rule. But that wasn't even enough. He then systematically wiped her from Asgard's history, painting over murals, silencing her name, trying to erase any memory of his firstborn. You can just imagine, right? This one act of betrayal completely defines her from that moment on. Being locked away and literally erased from the history she helped write, it forged this deep, burning resentment that would just simmer for thousands of years, just waiting for a chance to finally erupt. And after all that time, that chance finally came. This next chapter in her story is all about her long-awaited and, frankly, terrifying return to the cosmos that she was thrown out of. And here's the kicker, the ultimate tragic irony of it all. The magic that held her prisoner was tied directly to Odin's own life. So the second the man who betrayed her died, the spell broke. His death was literally the key that unlocked her cage. And boy, she did not mess around. Her return was immediate, and her goals were crystal clear. 1. Show everyone her overwhelming power. 2. Take back the throne that she believed was their birthright. And 3. Finish the job she and Odin started. Expand Asgard's empire across all of creation. But the Asgard she came back to wasn't the one she left. A whole new generation was there to stand in her way, including her own brothers, Thor and Loki, and the warrior Valkyrie. What started as a family drama was about to explode into a cosmic war. Okay, so this is it. This is where everything comes crashing together. Hela's quest for vengeance doesn't just threaten the throne, it ends up being the direct trigger for Ragnarok, the prophecy about the end of everything. So the heroes were faced with this impossible problem. Hela's power was literally tied to Asgard itself. The longer she was there, the stronger she got. For all intents and purposes, she was completely unbeatable. So what do you do? I mean, seriously, how do you stop that?
Well, the answer was unthinkable, something they never imagined they'd have to do. To defeat a goddess of death that they couldn't beat, they had to unleash an even greater force of destruction, the fire giant Surtur, whose entire destiny was to burn Asgard to the ground. And that right there is the ultimate tragedy of her story. Her one and only goal was to rule Asgard, but their desperate gambit to stop her meant that the very prize she fought for was completely and utterly destroyed, taking her right along with it. So, after all that, what are we left with? Her legacy is a messy, complex, and deeply tragic one. It's really a cautionary tale about how fear and betrayal can twist even the most divine power into something monstrous.
I think this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Her entire millennia-long quest to get back what was stolen from her resulted in there being nothing left to reclaim. In the end, her obsession with the past completely destroyed any chance of a future. At the end of the day, her story is just a tragedy. She was born with this divine duty, a necessary role to play in the cosmos. But it was Odin's fear and his betrayal that twisted that purpose into an all-consuming need for revenge. And that leaves us with one final lingering question to chew on. Was Hela just a power-hungry villain bent on destruction from the start? Or was she a victim, a tragic figure created in the fires of her own father's fear? That's something to think about.